Hello all. I'm here to tell you about a bizarre Pokemon game that I once got my hands on. It's quite an odd story, but please bear with me and listen up. So a while back, I got given a copy of Pokemon Leaf Green by a friend. She said she tried out the game, but felt bored of it very quickly. I could see just how quickly she got bored, as she only had 3 minutes of gameplay. She called her character Leaf. I guess maybe because of the game's title, Leaf Green. I wanted to play a new game, but I firstly wanted to see if she'd even bothered to leave Pallet Town to activate the event where Oak takes you to the lab and gives you a Pokemon. I started up the game to find that the player is laying in her bedroom, except the bed is in the middle of the room. Everything in the room is missing except the TV and bed, and the left side of the floor is a dark colour, while the other side is lighter. Also, the area's name is Emptiness, not Pallet Town. Perhaps she gave up on the game because of this weird change to the overworld. Oh yes, almost forgot to mention, no music is playing by this time. Before leaving the bed, I hit the start button which opened up the menu. It turns out she did have a Pokemon. So I checked exactly what starter Pokemon she chose was. To my surprise, she actually had a level 10 Eevee, nicknamed Loneliness. I know Eevee is an impossible starter Pokemon, but I couldn't help but notice that the E was missing from the word loneliness. Maybe she didn't know the spelling of loneliness. I guess this might have been the case since she wasn't very good at spelling. On close inspections, the Eevee appeared to be sad, instead of having a happy smile on its face. Its nature is lonely nature, and its attacks are as follows: Tackle, Screech, Grudge, and Nightmare. I leave the bed and make my way over to the TV. I pressed the A button to see if it would work, and it did. The text said, "You're not wanted here." Well, isn't that nice? Since I can't do anything in this room, I exit downstairs, and just like with upstairs, the only thing in the room is a TV. Except this time, the tiles on the floor spelled out the word "Go" with an exclamation mark. I check the TV, and the text says, "Don't leave me." Well, I had no choice but to leave, since there was nothing to do in this boring room. So I exit south to the waiting Pallet Town. I leave the house, and instead of being in Pallet Town, I'm in some large, foggy place. The surrounding grass is coloured red, and the house that I left is cut in half, with only the bottom part showing. There are gates surrounding the path which prevent me from exiting, and the music that is playing is the music that plays in the abandoned mansion. And there is a path heading east. Before heading down the eastern path, I noticed there is a signpost. I walk up to the sign and hit the A button, revealing the text as V. Finally, there is another path heading south, except I can't reach it because the gates prevent me from walking to it. I walked down the path for what seemed about 8 seconds when an NPC scrolls in. He appears to be standing on the gate, and his body is purely white, with a gaping mouth with blood trailing from his eyes. A very spooky sight, if I say so myself. I am able to interact with the NPC, and he says, "Can't you do better?" Is he taunting me? Well, regardless, I continue down the path. The surrounding grass turns to black, but the red path is still there. I walk towards the end of the path, where there is a small door. Walking into the door, I am taken off to a different map. I appear in a small school-like house, with no blackboard, and a small desk with a book on it. I walked up to the desk and checked the book. He was so lonely. His sorrow-filled eyes made me so unhealthy, so hurt. I wanted to help him, so I did. I have no clue who the author behind the book would be, but I shrugged it off. Another one of those white NPCs is standing beside the desk, so I walked up to him and spoke to him. He was so kind. His smile, his laugh, he said, leaving the house. I'm taken back to the previous map, except this time I am in a path heading south, which I couldn't reach before. I walk south down the path to find there are some faded letters on the left side of the gate, with 5 white NPCs on the other side. The letters appear to spell out the word friend, with a question mark under the 5 NPCs. Friend? Is what it says. Someone is questioning if someone else was a friend. As I continued south, the red grass changes to pitch black. There is also a large body of water with green grass surrounding it. I walked my Overworld sprite around the water and down the path. There is a door at the end of the path, and on the other side of the gates there are 2 letters. By the look of things, an N and an O. I puzzled together the Overworld text as friend? No. So this person, or Pokemon, wasn't a friend to someone else. After exiting through the door, I find myself in a very confined space, with yet another white NPC standing at the end of the small room. When I spoke to him, he said, "Why wasn't he... Well, you see for yourself." By this point, I was greatly attached to this game, and was desperate to get to the end of it. I exit south, and I'm taken to the Pokemon Tower. There's a single path, which I can follow, except I can't go outside the barrier of the gravestones. There are 3 white NPCs scattered around the outside of the gravestone barriers, and there is one on the path which I can speak to, who only says nothing. Towards the end of the path, I find an NPC who isn't another one of those white NPCs, but the rival Blue. He is in front of a golden gravestone and is facing me, When spoken to him, he says, "No, don't believe the ghosts. Run away before they get you." I was sort of confused, and was still trying to puzzle together this odd story. But right now, I wanted to find out what would happen next. I exit the Pokemon Tower, and I'm in Lavender Town. The music changes to the Lavender Town theme, and the town has little changes to it. It's raining, and the routes going north, south and west are blocked by wooden gates. I explored the town to find 3 more of those NPCs. Let's call them ghosts, since that's what Blue addressed them as. One of them is outside of the gate, so I'm unable to reach him. One is stood beside the Pokemon Center, and the other is stood beside the main house in Lavender Town. The one beside the Pokemon Center says, "Oh, but we're having so much fun. Do you really want to deny us?" And the one beside the house says, "Ke. Are you still going to believe that kid who betrayed loneliness?" That's it. I got it. So Blue abandoned Eevee named Loneliness. But why? The only way to find out was to continue with this game. I entered the house beside the ghost to find a lot of stuff is missing. There is a lass and a bug catcher sat at the table. I approach the girl, and she says, "This is frightening. I want to get out of this nightmare." I walked over to the bug catcher and he says, "The ghosts can't get in here. I wonder why." But wait. There is a third NPC in the house. Facing the window is the male protagonist, Red. "Leaf, you're okay." "No. No, you're not. Run now. You have to discover the truth." And with that, I leave the house, just as Red commanded. The next overworld map is the Pokemon Fan Club in Vermilion City. Except the people are missing, and there is fog here. May I also mention that the Lavender Town theme continues to play. I walk deeper into the house to find a ghost is stood beside a kind of glitchy patch of blocks. The ghost says, "Right this way. Not like you have a choice." How very true. I walk into the bunch of blocks, but nothing happens, and I appear trapped. I then tried walking back south, when I'm teleported off to Pewter City Gym, with no one there but Brock. The fog is still in effect as I walk up to Brock and speak with him. "Truth," he says demandingly as I'm thrown into a battle with him. At last, lively music. Brock only has 3 Pokemon, each at level 2. He sends out his first one, which is a Bulbasaur named Ghosts. As I send out my Eevee, Loneliness. I easily KO the Bulbasaur with a tackle as he switches to a Charmander named Tricked. The process repeats and he switches into his final Pokemon, which is a Squirtle named him. While knocking out the last Pokemon, I noticed that together they say ghosts tricked him. With that, I win the battle, and Brock scrolls in saying, "Continue," handing me the Boulder badge. Brock's text ends with a bunch of exclamation marks, and we're taken back to the overworld. Ke. Leaf received TM39 from Brock. Ghost tricked him. He is waiting. Be gone. Be gone, Brock says. I exit the gym, and I'm taken to the gate which leads up to Victory Road. There are no edits here at all, and I'm able to pass through the gate due to having a Boulder badge. I exit out of Fuchsia City, which is placed on the path that leads to the cycling road. Instantly, I notice the text in the top corner which says, "You will perish." The city seems to be glitched and wrecked. It's all raining, and no music plays. Heading eastward down the path, I see two ghosts. The one closest the house I exited says, "Take in the air while you still can." And the one next to him says, "Your time is almost up." The path continues eastward, and I can't go north due to some glitched blocks blocking the way. I keep walking eastward towards the city gate, only to find it blocked by 3 uninteractable signs and a ghost. The ghost says, "When you find the truth, you shall join loneliness forever, and you shall experience our being." I explore around the remote city to find Blue is standing at the southern east part of the city. When I approached him, he says, "Leaf, I abandoned Eevee after my Raticate died. The ghost tricked me into doing it." So, I found out Blue to be the fool he is. I continue with this story, going through the only door in the town that will work, which is the house I entered the city from. Entering the house, I am taken off to the Pokemon Tower. I am trapped in a single 1-block space, surrounded by gravestones, and 3 ghosts stood around me. From this point onward, there is truly nothing to do, so I switched off the game.